Hi, I'm Abby, and today I'm going to show you how to do long division with big numbers. So a question such as the one I've written up on the screen is typical of the sort of division that pupils in year 6 often get asked to do. And to be honest, it's the sort of question that can make children think that they can't do division, and then they go to secondary school announcing to teachers that it's no use, they can't divide. The majority of children in secondary school will not be asked to do divisions such as this. The main skill we want from them in terms of dividing is that they can do bus stop with relatively small numbers under 10. So to start off with, I have not memorised my 78 times table, so preparation is key. A lot of pupils would attempt this by doing repeated addition to get their 78 times table. The problem with doing repeated addition is that not only do they lose count of how many times they've added, but if they make just one error early on, then that error gets carried through and is with them for the whole question. So all of their other additions are then incorrect. So what I like to do is I look and see which multiple of 10 it's closest to. 78 is just a little bit below 80, so I'm going to write out my 80 times table. So my 80 times table will just look exactly the same as the 8 times table, but with a 0 on the end. So I'll just take a moment to write those down. Now I've got those, I'll look back to 78. How much less than 80 is it? It's 2 less than 80. So because of that, I'm going to take away my 2 times table. If it was just above 80, then I would add a times table on. So you go to a multiple of 10 that's close to your number and you say, am I a little bit above it? So I'll add on how far above and make sure I do that times table, or else subtract it. And doing it this way, if I make a mistake with any of my numbers, that mistake is only a mistake for that particular calculation. The rest of them should be fine. So it's not going to have the devastating consequence of doing something wrong with repeated addition where everything after that is wrong. So now I just need to follow through and do my subtractions. So 480 take 12, it'll be 468, 546, 624, 702 and 780. So now I'm ready to write out my bus stop. So 22,074 divided by 78. So I look at this and I say to myself, does 78 go into 2? No, it doesn't. Does it go into 22? No. Does it go into 220? Well, the last number I've got on my list before 120 is this one, 156. That's the second number down, so I'll write a 2 at the top and I'll put my 156 underneath. So the whole reason why we write these numbers underneath is just we're going to have to work out our remainder. If we're dividing by a number less than 10, we can probably do that remainder in our head. But if we're dividing by 78, we could have some pretty big remainders, and so the safest way to get them is by doing column subtraction. You could, if you wanted, write your column subtractions just anywhere else on the page. This way just holds it all together neatly. It doesn't really matter so long as you take the time to do your subtraction. So 0 takes 6 I can't do, I'm going to borrow. 10 take 6 is 4, I'll need to borrow again. 11 take 5 is 6, and whoops, when I borrowed that should become a 1. So I'm going to start subtracting now. 0 takes 6, I need to borrow. So I will do 10 take 6 is 4, I need to borrow again. 11 take 5 is 6, 1 take 1 is 0. Now I could, if I wanted, write that 64 up here like you do if you're doing short division, but it would get really squashed. And the problem that I see when pupils do write their remainders up at the top is that they often can't read their own writing properly, and they make a mistake because they misread their own writing. So this is why we bring the 7 down instead. We write it here. I'm going to say 78 into 647. So I come down my list. My last number before 647 is 624, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is 8. So that is 8 lots of 78. I will write it again, doing my takeaway underneath. 7 take 4 is 3, 4 take 2 is 2, 6 take 6 is 0. Again, if I really wanted to, I could write my remainder 23 up here next to the 4, but there's not much room and I'd be struggling to read my own writing. So instead, I'll bring my 4 down. 78 into 234. I look on my list and it is actually there. It's the 3rd number in my list. So I can just write a 3 here. Now, because that went exactly, I'm finished. I don't need to do anything else. Some people like to say, oh, that's 3 of them. I will write my take 234 and I will put all my zeros to make a point. If it goes exactly, there is no need. If you get to it and you're going to have a remainder, then do it. But if it's precise, don't worry about finishing it off and doing a subtraction underneath. So I hope that method was helpful. If you like it, keep coming back to my channel. I do share maths videos at least once a week.